Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're back at the spot, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. We're going to the land down under, Brains. We are going to visit with Carlene Kupke, and we are going to talk about some amazing things. Some things that, a lot of people, some are a little bit hesitant to explore, but others are in the throes of it. We're talking hypnotherapies and also empowerment, transformation, unstoppable confidence, breaking free from anxiety and trauma. I always wonder how people come out on the other side of a traumatic experience. Now, I've had some traumatic experiences myself, but none that I think have really embodied me to the point where I might need medication or psychotherapy. And then I've had some traumatic experiences that I thought were very passive aggressive, but they've really impacted my life. So we're going to talk about both sides of that and how people deal with it. I personally, again, I'm not the expert. I don't think people ever get over it. I think they're able to get into it, deal with it, and learn to uh, manage the ebbs and flows. But we're going to talk to a professional that deals with that, and that is Carlene. How are you? And welcome to the show.
I'm very well. Thank you for having me, April. I'm so blessed to be here and so excited to share my professional expertise with you and my story and whatever else you would like to know and the listeners would like to know. So thank you for having me.
Well, the brains want to know. Tell us a little bit about how you show up in the world and what you experienced, as much as you want to share with regards to trauma and how this has allowed you to springboard and to pour in and to help others.
Yeah, sure. Well, a bit about my background, I guess. I've had a tremendous amount of bullying throughout, the normal kind of school bullying and teenage girl bullying, but then it went into university and workplace bullying, and it kind of followed me through my life quite considerably, and it put me into a place where I felt quite alone, lost, and what was wrong with me because it kept showing up in my life. I would finish something in my life like high school or university, and I'd go, oh, this is a fresh start. And then it would pop up in my life again. And probably, to be honest, the worst of it was the workplace bullying that I had when I was a teacher. And that was quite hard, being a young graduate in a school, and I didn't have a permanent position. It was a contract position, and my boss took advantage of that. And yeah, I didn't actually realize that that was happening to other teachers as well. So that's why I didn't say anything. And obviously, I really wanted to keep my job. So I guess in a snapshot, that is what happened to me and the feelings that stood for me with me for such a long time. Um, and it was actually narcissism in a sense that I was being shown by these people, and what I realize now, it was also a part of their personality that they were projecting onto me, whereas I didn't know that at the time. I didn't have any idea. I just thought there was something deeply wrong with me because it kept showing up and I couldn't find people that treated me well, which I also understand now. It comes back to treating myself well. So,
Okay, because I was going to go there, and I am being super sensitive, but I'm being very inquisitive as well. Sometimes people would say, oh, well, she has a thin skin, or she's empathic, or she's shy, or she has low self esteem. Because if these patterns keep showing up, what was your defense mechanism? Because, we've all been bullied at one point or another, or we've all been the bully. We've picked on people, we've said things, we've gossiped, you know, uh, That's just unfortunately human nature. But why do you think now, looking back, that you were targeted? Because you said it was repeated. Were you any of these things? Were you empathic? Were you very sensitive? Were you shy? Why would people single you out, do you think?
Definitely I was all of those things for sure. I was shy. I was a people pleaser. So I just wanted to do the right thing by everyone, and I wanted everybody to accept me and love me, and I'd do anything to ensure that was possible. So people just walked over me. And yes, I have been the other side. You know, when I was a kid, I was a bully as well at times. Um, but yeah, the impact it had on me was massive. So yes, I was all of it, for sure. And um, it was just such a difficult experience to go through, and not realizing that these patterns of behavior, now I realize as a hypnotherapist, it comes from childhood. So it comes from me people pleasing to get love in my family. So, doing the right thing in my family no matter what, and then getting told off or getting hit or getting punished for something, and then trying to do the right thing again. And so this pattern of behavior just happened naturally that I didn't even know. And there's many people that I know and I've helped that have the same kind of patterning from their parents, or their caregivers or whoever it was in their childhood. And so that was ingrained in me as a natural habit and behavior, unfortunately. And at the same time, fortunately, because it taught me so many lessons as
Right.
well.
I was in the grocery store, and I saw this woman that she went all in on this poor little kid that was in the basket with her. I mean, she talked to that little person, as if they were just an indigent, just absolutely nothing. Swore at him, and the kid would flinch and twitch to the point where I said something. And I said, you know what? This is none of my business. I said, and kids can be disruptive. I said, but do you really think all of that conversation is necessary? And she bucked her eyes. Well, in this day and time, parents will scratch your eyes out for telling them about how to just, discipline their children. And the child looked at me with such compassion and empathy, as like somebody stood up for me. I could only imagine the kind of treatment that she subjected that child to when they got him home. It probably
Yeah.
physical violence. So, parents, I say this to you: words have power, and the things that you say to your children could be more impactful and hurtful than you putting your hands on them. You're nothing. You're just like your father. You're in this, you're in that. Why are you a brat? Shut up. Do this. That conversation is something that rattles around in their mind over and over again. So you have to look at it. Were you subjected to that? When are you going to stop the cycle of abuse, verbal abuse? There's a lot of women that are in situations, and men too, that they are verbally abused, and people go, oh, well, you weren't abused. Yes, they are abused, because these words have power. Or when you gossip about somebody else, you talk about what you think you know. But again, there's a lot of those characteristics that are inside yourself that you don't want to identify with. So be careful with that, because it's very dangerous, and it could be a lifelong impact on an individual and continue a cycle of abuse, epigenetics. You can't do better till you know better. When did you get better, Marlene? When did you say, you know what, enough is enough?
It started probably after the workplace bullying. I decided to change where I was teaching and make that decision, and it was no more. But I still, at the time, held a lot of resentment and judgment and hurt and sadness. So I eventually left that workplace, and it put me on this path of actually finding hypnotherapy and energy healing, Reiki, NLP, all these healing modalities because it was affecting my relationship as well. And I didn't actually realize all of this when it was all happening, but that was the truth of it. Everything was affecting my whole life. And so it made me take an opportunity in Cambodia and teach over there and not go back to teaching at all. And that's when I started to really start digging deep into myself and healing all the memories and the hurt and all these different things that happened over, various parts of my life, and become more empowered and set boundaries for myself and have understanding that, these people are actually just hurting themselves and they're just projecting their hurt and their trauma onto all these different people that they bully. And also, like you said, with the parent thing, like I'm not having a go at parents, not having a go at my parents either. Um, but the understanding is children's brains aren't fully developed until around 7 and 8 years old. And so they're totally in a subconscious state. They're in a deep trance state, which is why they learn so quickly. And so the impact that trauma and that repetition of thoughts and actions and feelings towards another person, particularly a child, just goes straight into their subconscious, which is why it's ingrained in them, which is why my people pleasing behavior was so ingrained as well. And the subconscious rules approximately 98% of our life, and with all our habits and behaviors and things that we do. And so yeah, just to be really careful on what we do and be loving, particularly loving and understanding of these kids that really don't know. Yes, you need to tell them no. You need to tell them how to behave in society and all of that sort of stuff. Absolutely. You need to keep them safe. But I think there's a fine line at times as well. So,
But you also have to teach them how to defend themselves. Okay,
yes,
parents, you're not raising marshmallows. The world is a very treacherous place. You are going to run across adversarial people, and you have to equip your children and yourself with the tools to be able to leverage, understand, and negotiate and position yourself. Because I'm a toughie. I don't go along to get along, but I'm strategic. I'm not always the one that mouths off either. I used to be. And I said, okay, where is that getting me? I create teachable moments. I create opportunities for people to do things. I'll give you one example. Someone said something to me uh, about, about a family member of mine that wasn't. They said it's kind of snarkily, and that's how bullying is. It's grooming. They'll say things and they'll see how you react. Then they'll dig a little more. Then they'll dig a little more. Well, you know what? I called them on it. I said, do you realize the things that you're saying? I know you do. You're trying to set me up for a fall, but you're not going to win. And they were shocked. They knew exactly what they were doing. It's called intention, brains. And so you have to watch those kind of people. And some of those people are right there at sitting front row in your life. Your girlfriend, your cousin, your mother in law. These people are saying these things to you, and you're trying to be the people pleaser and not hurt their feelings. It's not about hurting their feelings because they don't give a care about yours. So you have to watch it, and you have to know the caliber of people that you're with. And sometimes you have to cut them off, and that's absolutely okay. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to, curse at them. You don't have to be vindictive and try to get back at them, but call them out on it. Let them know that you know what you're doing. You take back your power. When you agree,
totally. It's if they're not treating you well and no respect, then it's important to set those boundaries. And you're actually like telling yourself that you deserve it. You deserve this respect. You are worthy of this respect. If you keep, like I did, I keep having disrespect come into my life. And therefore, it was just going to keep coming in, keep coming in, keep coming in until I said, no, enough's enough.
right?
Like, That's it. I deserve respect. I'm respecting myself. It's an act of self love for me.
Right.
And yeah, and that's what I've done ever since. And I haven't experienced it. Obviously, I've done a lot of healing as well around it. But it's certainly learnt, those boundaries for myself.
What do you feel about unconditional love? I don't really practice it. And I say that in 100% transparency. There's conditions on my love.
Yeah.
That's not to say that I don't like you. That doesn't say that I can't deal with you or be around you. But to give you that God, that 100% unconditional agape love, there's conditions on that. Love is so precious. It is. One person told me not too long ago they didn't even know what love was, and that hurt me. They don't know what it is to be embraced, to be hugged, to be kissed, to be uh, someone to be empathetic and care about your feelings, to go out of their way to care for you, to open the door for you, to make you a sandwich. These things are loving, caring things. Do you really believe that people practice, and there's a lot that do, but for the most part, do you really believe that people practice unconditional love? Mhm.
I do. There's certainly not a huge percent in the world that are able to get there, but certainly my coach, she does practice that with non-judgment, complete acceptance, complete, the frequency of love. She really does. It doesn't mean that, you know, um, she has people in her life that disrespect her because she's moved those people out of her life. But she just, and that's what she's taught me and teaching me is you just see them, I guess, as they've got trauma in them. Have got trauma in them that they need to heal, but their actual true self of who they really are is, they're not that person. And so I believe I'm still getting there with different people. I'm certainly not fully healed in that regard, but that's what I aim to do: accept everyone as they are, love everyone as they are, because otherwise we have this separation in society, and it creates this conflict in society. And if we love each other, we accept each other, then more peace will come within each other and less conflict. So
You used a big $25 word, judgment. Um, Judgment is also a way to edit and filter and create boundaries.
mm,
Now, that doesn't mean that my judgment against you is going to be harsh, but it is a way to gauge. It is a way for me to look at past experiences, but also have an anticipation for future projections as to what I expect. Expectations are hard. So, just like there's judgments, there's expectations. What is your feeling on those two words?
yeah, it's I've certainly have to watch myself with judgment for sure, and judging other people, because really, if I judge someone else, judge another person, I'm judging myself. So whatever I do to somebody, I'm actually doing to myself. It's like a self hypnosis thing. So whatever I say to somebody else, I'm actually saying to myself as well. So I'm very aware of that, and I'm very aware of self hypnosis. And so yeah, it's certainly, I'm practicing and I'm working on judgment. It's a daily thing that I do. So uh, because I know it just reflects on myself. And that's not a bad thing. It's just like giving me answers of what I need to improve, self improvement. So
Right. And it's a self evaluation. People don't, and I see that they don't give themselves enough time to pause. They just want to react, or they'll just talk to hear themselves talk, or they feel that they have to respond. Sometimes we just have to process it, give ourselves a few minutes, a few seconds to really resonate, because maybe the intent wasn't as harsh as you thought it was. Or maybe the delivery wasn't maybe what you expected, but that's the only way that this individual knows how to communicate. And so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
when we talk
I, I,
oh, I'm sorry, when we talk about people's intentions, that goes with expectations. It's like the word trust. I trust you if you do XYZ. But if you don't do that, I don't trust you. Or if you go against the grain, I don't trust you. Or if you don't tell me everything, I don't trust you. These are very powerful words, brains, that you really need to think about in your day to day life. It will alleviate so much stress. What do people have to look forward to, Lynn, when they work with you?
yeah, well, I guess talking about judgment and all of that, I just see them as a completely healed and happy person when they come in. And even though they come in with lots of trauma and lots of stuff going on, I know underneath all of that, that the core of it is that actually just a really beautiful person. And that's what I have the intention of for every session. And I think that's really important because then they sense uh, a, a feeling of trust. Because I guess if you're going to judge someone for, doing something or whatever they've done, then it puts up these barriers. So it's really important to develop trust with the person that comes in, because then they can open up and then they can heal even more, feel safe to give you information that will help them heal as well. So that's really important for me in my sessions when they come in.
Well, I love your voice tone and your voice inflection. So I can imagine when you take someone down into hypnosis, that it's a very gentle experience. And then when you pour into them some NLP, brains, that is an acronym for neuro linguistic programming. There's a lot of components to it, but it's basically how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself. And it's about self. It's not about your facilitator, your coach. It's not about your hypnotherapist. It's about the individual. It's about you. It's about me, how we nurture and take care of ourselves. I want to ask you a couple fun questions before we conclude the interview because, you just seem like a fun kind of girl. Okay.
Sure.
If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
What appliance would I be? Wow, that's fun. Um, the first thing that came to me would be a kettle. I don't know why, but the first thing that came to me was a kettle, because it brings me, when I go there and I get my cup of tea, it just brings me to this place of feeling grounded and calm, and like sipping my cup of tea and just enjoying life and really coming to that moment. So that's the first thing that came to me.
Well, it's different from drinking a cup of coffee and a cup of tea. It seems like when I make my tea, it's a certain serenity there. It's a process. You're pouring very slowly. You're waiting for it to steep. You blow on it very gently. You put in everything or you put in nothing. And then you hold the cup a certain kind of way. You don't necessarily hold it by the handle. It seems like you have a much stronger personality when you're drinking coffee. But when you drink tea, you kind of cup it and you just kind of sip it. So I
Yeah.
can sip tea kettle. Uh,
That
I want to
was
be
fun. Thank you.
I want to be an air fryer.
Okay. Tell
I
me
want
about
to
that.
I want to be crispy. I want to be juicy, easy to clean, and reduce the calories. So I want to be. If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Ooh. Oh, I love lions. Lions really yeah, really drawn to lions, and probably because you know they show strength of character, and they're not necessarily the biggest animal in the jungle, but they're very gracious and leader and all of that sort of stuff, and they're very caring of their their family all around them as well, their cubs. So yeah, I really always drawn to a lion, but I love animals, so I could list off probably 10.
Well, 10 years ago, I would have been the party animal. How about that? But right now, I just came back from Thailand, as I was telling you, and I got to go to an elephant sanctuary. And I looked into the eyes really closely. They are absolutely everything I thought they were, and then some. Uh, Native American shaman woman gave me an owl and an elephant as my spirit animals. And I felt the connection. Like you said, they're big, they're massive, but they care about one another. They travel in prides. They're very good parents. Um, they eat well. They take care of themselves, but they don't forget.
Mm.
Don't forget their memory.
Yeah.
If you could time travel, where would you go? Would you go to the past? Would you stay in the present? Or would you project to the future?
Ooh, good question. Well, I time travel when I meditate sometimes. So, yeah, and it's usually back to a past event of some description. But yeah, I'd love to actually go back to the past
Yeah.
and experience, maybe some Victorian era or something like that, all dressed up in, really, really like clothes and
Are you a fan of Bridgington? I'm a fan.
yes,
Oh,
that's what it reminds me of. Yeah, yeah.
when you said past, I thought about what my mentor says to me. I had a situation, and the situation reoccurred similar. And I said, "Oh my God, here we go again." And she goes, April, she says, "That's part of the challenge." She says, "Is that you are taking a past experience and you're bringing it to a current situation." She said, "But you already know what happened previously. You have an opportunity to rewrite it. You have an opportunity to revisit it. You have an opportunity to look at it with a fresh set of eyes, knowing what has happened previously." So I suggest that to you, brains, that if you go back, don't take that experience with you, reframe it as you move forward. Thank you so much for being a guest here with me on the show. Your wisdom, I have really embraced it. Thank you for being honest and open, and for taking your life journey and experience and pouring it into others to make it a better place. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you, if there's any current offerings that you want to share with them, and just a couple encouraging words of wisdom to take forth.
Yeah, sure. And I thank you for having me, April. Really appreciate it. And my business is Inside Out Mind Body, and you can contact me on that website. And yeah, chat to me on there. There's an email address on there as well, or there's my phone number if you're in Australia, or I can contact you via WhatsApp. And yeah, my offerings, I do clinical hypnotherapy, EFT tapping, NLP coaching. I do QHHT, which is a Dolores Cannon hypnotherapy technique that she did, if you know her. And I also do Reiki services as well. So I have a mix of different things that I can offer people and to really live their best life, because you don't need to suffer, and you don't need to, like you say, April, bring things from your past into the now. We can learn from it, we can heal from it, and we can move forward and just feel so much happier within ourselves, and then our life outside ourselves changes as well. So anything from the inside that you heal and transform to make yourself feel better will reflect in your outside life. So thank you.
Well, or you can roar like a lion or spout off like a tea kettle. Either one. Thank you, Brains, for joining us here on The Edge. You are the absolute best. We love you deeply and completely. We want you to live your best life. Don't worry about the bully. The bully has problems of their own. But stand up for yourself. Be strategic. Create teachable moments. But learn to love yourself more than anybody else on the planet. Thank you so much. come back and visit me again. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks so much, April.
All right. Bye, brains.